So we are simplifying this. The first thing we need to think about when we're doing it is actually bed mass, order of operations. Okay, so you've got your B, E, D, M, A, S. What does that mean? Brackets you do first, whatever's inside brackets, then you do exponents, and division and multiplication you do in order from left to right, or there's other kind of manipulations that you can do, and addition and subtraction you do from left to right. So in this case we need to do, there are no brackets or exponents that we can do anything with at the moment, so we're going to look at this here, this multiplication. So we actually have to multiply this before we can subtract it. So multiplying those two together, we've got, that's the same as 2 times n times 5 times n, because the invisible operation between the 5 and the n is multiplication. We can actually change the order of that so that we can go 2 times 5 is 10, and n times n is n squared, plus 6n. Now we can look at like terms. So what we're looking at here is we've got one lot of n squared here, and we've got 10 lots of n squared there. So we can think of it as n squared minus 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 n squared. That was 10 times. That's why we do multiplication, because it's, you know, repeated addition or repeated subtraction. So if I've got one lot of n squared, there's an invisible 1 there, 1 times n squared. One lot of n squared minus 10 lots of n squared. How many lots of n squared do I have? Minus 9n squared plus 6n. So you could see that the plus 6n the whole way down just stayed there. Okay? These multiplied to get that, and then these combined to get that. Does that make sense? Did it help the people who were stuck?
Can you just take away the n squared of the 10 n squared, or do you have to put the 1?
Oh, n squared minus 10n squared is minus 9n squared. You don't have to put the 1 there. It's just some people find it helpful because 1 minus 10 is minus 9. Okay? So they find it helpful to envisage a 1 in front. Okay? Is that clearer?
Yeah.
Did you want a similar one to try? No? Okay, have you got another question for me? This one's actually an equation because there's an equal sign, so we're actually solving. And the question was 4n plus 1
equals 10, 2n.
Oh, sorry, 2n, yeah, minus 7. Okay, so here we need a plan. And our plan is that we actually want n equals something. So we're wanting the left-hand side to have the n terms and the right-hand side to have the numbers. So how do we do that? We need to move things. So this 2n here needs to be moved to the other side. So how do we undo, there's an invisible plus here, there's actually plus 2n. How do we undo plus 2n? Yep. Minus 2n. So what you're actually doing in your head is taking 2n off both sides. So we end up with 4n minus 2n plus 1 equals minus 7. Now it didn't matter where I put that minus 2n on this side, but I chose to put it there because it'll make my life easier. Okay? Why has it gone from here? I've taken minus 2n off both sides, so 2n minus 2n is? 2n minus 2n equals 0, correct. So that's why we could basically change sides, change operation. Okay? Just to recap, if we have the do and the undo. If we do by adding, we undo by. If we do by minus, undo by. If we do by times, undo by. Divide, times. Okay. So 4n minus 2n. 2n. And we can, what can we do with this plus 1? How do we undo it? How do we undo it? Minus 1. So it's going to be minus 7 minus 1. Is that okay? So what I did there is I had the plus 1 there, and it became minus 1 on the other side. Why? Because I want n to equal something, so I'm moving it. So I did sort of two things in one step there, which could have been confusing. So here we've got 2n. How do I get minus 7 minus 1? Minus 8. Okay. So now I'm going to actually just get rid of all of this and do it a bit tidier. Okay. So what I would write is actually 4n minus 2n equals minus 7 minus 1. So I'd actually done two steps at once. My plus 2n became my minus 2n here, and my plus 1 became my minus 1 there. So then I had my 2n equals negative 8. So I've just done it in less steps, so I've got a bit more room. Now, what do I do? How do I get rid of the 2 times n? Divide. Divide both sides by 2. That's what you're actually doing. But you might not write it like that. N equals negative 8 upon 2. So n equals negative 4. Now check that. So if I was to, I'm just going to grab that, get rid of it for a minute, and I'm going to just check it. So I'm going to go, whoops, 4 times negative 4 plus 1 equals 2 times negative 4 minus 7. 4 fours are 16, that's minus 16 plus 1 equals 2 fours are 8 minus 7. Negative 16 plus 1 is negative 15, and negative 8 minus 7 is also negative 15. So that works nicely. There's some lovely negatives in there. Any questions on that? Where was the problem? I can see there was a problem somewhere in that.
The n, isn't negative plus negative equals positive?
Oh, this one here. Negative multiplied by negative is positive, but when you're, this is like I owe $8 to mum and I owe $7 to dad, you're actually adding the debt. So you're actually going, I'll do a quick thing on that, you're going, negative 8 minus 7, well, that's a bit clunky, old minus 7. You're actually going, that's minus 8 plus 7 in a way. Because you're actually saying, well, I owe $8 to mum and $7 to dad, so I'm adding that debt. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's a bit tricky because if I said negative 2 times negative 3, 2 3s are 6, that's negative times negative is positive, but negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Okay? So it's all a bit tricky, those integers. Next question, somebody? There's a fantastic question here, and it is n plus 2 minus 3 n plus 4. There's no equal sign, and what you're asked to do is simplify. Okay, I've got the question correct. expand the following and simplify your answers. Okay, so the trick here is to simplify, to expand this one. So n times n is n squared plus n times 2 is 2n, and then to separately expand this one, but you're using that when you expand. That's the real trick. So you're going minus 3n, but then you're actually timesing that by that, so it's actually minus 12. That's probably where you went wrong, that you didn't take that whole thing when you did it. So then we have got n squared plus 2n minus 3n is, so that's the same as n plus n minus n minus n minus n. So n minus n will be 0, n minus n will be 0, so we're going to be left with minus n. The other way of looking at that is actually saying I have got 2 minus 3 lots of n. 2 minus 3 lots of n. Does that make sense? So we've got still got minus n. Okay, there's a nod, that's good. Okay, so what have I still got left here? Minus 12. Okay, so that is simplified to that. Cool? And where did you go wrong?
I was just asking
Okay, cool. Okay, so I guess with your whole bed mass business, your BEDMAS, your brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, it goes a bit weird when you do algebra because we can't go E plus 2. We can't do the brackets first. So we're doing algebraic manipulation, so we still need to keep the answers the same. But basically we need to expand this bracket first. Okay, what we do know is AB plus C is the same as AB plus AC. We know that that's the same, so we can actually just use that fact. That's called the distributive rule, and it's called expanding. So E times E is E squared, E times 2 is, and then the plus 3E just stays there. So all we've done is we've replaced this with this, okay? And then we carry on. Does that make sense? So now we can collect like terms. Plus 2e plus 3e. Yeah, so we've got e squared plus 5e. Now we need to stop. Because we don't know what e is, and e and e squared is not the same number, we can't go any further. Okay? We have done what we were asked to do. That was expanding and simplifying. Okay?